not always been so lucky in love. Of course, there were my 37 wives, but they mostly hated me.
Don't sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world.
You're listening to the League Podcast, The Vampire Council, Season 3, Episode 3 of What We Do in the Shadows. I'm Matt Dursin.
Hey guys! Good to see you again. I'm Gail. Just kidding.
You remember
Playing
Gail?
here. I'm inside of her right now.
I'm inside of her right now. I know, it was like the best moment. Ada Tuturo as Gail. Gail, the title of the episode, and yeah, like the main sort of crux of this episode. It's so
famously of The Sopranos listeners should know.
Yes, of course. I'm sorry. I guess I shouldn't assume because but
well, I was like, is that her? And then I saw I looked on the What We Do in the Shadows Instagram, and they're doing their competing podcast to ours tonight with Kayvan and Ada Tuturo as a special guest. But I was like, oh yeah, because I couldn't remember her name.
Right. I had to look it up too. Don't worry.
And I was like,
I knew it was somebody like that I should know.
Yeah, right. I have to say, I have to call out a Boston, North Dakota Easter egg. And I don't know if you noticed it. But right at the beginning, when they go to the Midtown Hotel, that Midtown Hotel is on Huntington Avenue in Boston. And it's just exactly like that. There's no CGI on the sign. It says the Midtown Hotel. And in the shot, there's an American flag and the Massachusetts flag. And so I can confirm that I was like, that's in Boston.
Wow. I didn't know that. They filmed in Boston? I didn't even know.
I don't think so. Because this happens a lot in... Now, if you were as versed in the CW verse as I was, and Stacey and I are, you'll know I'll always be like, oh, look, this is Star City is like Arrow, so they use a lot of exterior shots of Boston Harbor looking over into the city, like from down by the aquarium, like the overhead shot, kind of with the Custom House Tower and everything. They use that for just exterior shots. They just buy stock footage, basically.
Right.
And then they put it in there. But the other, Central City where the Flashes is Chicago or something, and they film it all in Vancouver, but they splice it together and be like, oh yeah, this is Star City. It's really Boston.
That's interesting. How about that? I'll have to keep my eyes out for those kinds of things.
It's only because I it was a very kind of 70s style font, and I know exactly where it is. I've delivered food there to people, but I was like, that's the Midtown Hotel, you know.
Well, I guess if they're looking for sort of an old, because everything on this show is kind of old school looking, you know, they kind of try to keep everything Art Deco, kind of old school. And Boston has a lot of those kinds of buildings, you know, so it must work great for them. Interesting. So, so very beginning of the episode, Nadia is looking for Nandor, and he's been sneaking out at night, and they're all kind of, we don't know where he is. So they follow him.
Because Nadia wants to work on the Vampire Council website.
That's right. She's never done a website before. And it's very what was that? What was the name of that? That thing that people used in the late 90s to make websites. I can't even remember what it is now.
GeoCities?
Yes, that's
something like that. Yeah. Stacy still has an email address that's her GeoCity. It says Stacy, that's owned by Yahoo or something, but it's Stacy RGO at yahoo.com. Don't go spamming her with Vampire Council stuff, but she has a GeoCities account still.
I mean, I might still too, technically, because I never check it, so don't bother sending me anything. But I did create a GeoCities website. We just had pictures of actors on it.
Nice. The IMDb?
I don't know whether we were trying to do. John and I had this idea of like making like casting like mostly comic books and stuff, or like shows, which they ended up doing. You know, like a lot of things they ended up doing anyway. But we were like, oh, what if they made the A-Team into a movie? Which they did end up doing, and we thought like, oh, Jim Carrey should play Murdoch or whatever, you know what I mean, like, and stuff like that. And so that was
Wow,
that
dude,
was my
you guys
website.
are so deep into it over there. I don't have no idea what was going on with you guys. So
This
deep
was like
into it.
2 months in 1998. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, something that we spent a lot of time on, but we used to try to pretend to cast, you know, movies.
But did it look like the Vampire Council website?
I don't even know if it looked that good, but yeah, I mean, the fonts and everything, and like the bright neon, like flashing, like it.
Oh yeah, I coded my 90s band's website like with HTML and it had a lot of animated GIFs and
Hey.
flashing and blinking.
Yeah, that
Sign
was
up
like
for the email list.
that was like that was the best you could do back then. But anyways, so yeah, they do track him down. I mean, is it Guillermo kind of suspects what's going on, I think, right? Like he's kind of like, oh, but I love it. They go to the hotel, they hear like the sex, you know, like they hear her yelling, and Laszlo says, he sounds like he's in distress. Bang down the door, bodyguard. And he's like, I don't really think, I think they're, you know, it doesn't sound like he's in distress. It's like, just do it. You're the bodyguard. And so, like, they bust the door down. Yeah. And they're having sex. And he's like, oh, hi. You remember Gail, as we said earlier. I'm inside of her right now.
Legs akimbo.
Yeah. It is really funny. Like, they get, I don't know what the deal is. Like, FX is pretty raunchy now. Like,
oh, it's raunchy. Yeah. They say fuck a lot.
They say fuck a lot. They show, like, the, you know, sexual relations.
And Colin Robinson, like, has, I think, almost in every episode has, like, shit on one of his roommates to say, like, I don't give a shit where he is or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, to every single one of the guys almost.
Yeah, he uses the word shit a lot. You're right. It's very interesting.
Like,
I mean, Nandor walks around
and that he doesn't give a shit.
Right, he keeps saying that. I don't give a shit where he is. But I'm always down to clown. That was the best line.
Yeah, I want them to know I'm down to clown at the drop of a hat. Like, oh. He drained the energy out of me after he said that.
All right, so Gail is this woman that Nandor has had a like on and off again sort of relationship for like 30 years.
Yeah, it looks like he meets her in like a 70s like amusement park, kind of like at the bumper cars or something, where she's like she looks like a teenager. And then like you see her in all her different phases of Bob Seger fandom.
Yes, I know. Big fan of Bob Seger. Of course, you know that his band was the Silver Bullet Band. You knew that, right? Did you catch that?
Working and practicing.
But yeah, he's this Robert Seger or whatever he calls it, like
the musical poet Robert Seger.
And she loves, like, he knows everything about. She loves strawberry yogurt. Her favorite yogurt is strawberry crunch or something like that.
And he kind of does the same thing with that when they were just throwing chicken at him, like when they don't understand food and humans at all. So he buys like all this yogurt and steals Guillermo's mini fridge, takes his medicine out of it and stuff. And
I know, he's like, I kind of need this. This needs to be chilled or whatever. Yeah, this needs to be kept cold. But yeah, it is pretty funny. They don't understand. He doesn't understand food at all. Yeah. But I love so he's always had this thing where he wants to make her like they're like together, and then he wants to make her into a vampire, and then she's like, nah.
It's an on again, off again, like fuck buddy situation. Which
basically,
when I was at the height of my horniness, I had a few of those.
Yeah, good for you. I mean, that's what you do at the height of your horniness. But he's like, he wants to spend eternity with her, and that's when she gets kind of like, well. But I love Gail is the most basic bitch, right? I mean, like she's like, I gotta go home and watch my Grays. Thursday is girls' night. Me and Meredith Grey. Like, I mean,
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I wonder if, well, it was weird how they described it because, like, do you think she was there for like a couple nights? Or no, she just didn't understand that it was Saturday and there was
Right. She didn't figure out. Well, because it's, yeah.
I was wondering if she was like entranced.
Maybe she was. Whatever it was, she didn't know that it was a full moon, that it was Saturday and the moon was full. And that meant she turns into a werewolf, which is a big thing in this. The werewolves. We, haven't seen a lot of werewolves. Well, I haven't seen any this season. So it's, yeah, she's a werewolf. And so she's been fucking this other guy who turned her into a werewolf. Armand or something, I think his name was. I forget, something like that. Yeah, she's got another thing going on the side. But then they were all like grossed out that, like, because werewolves and vampires shouldn't be having sex. And
yeah, it's their mortal enemy.
Yeah, yeah. But I love that also. Like, there's some funny jokes about, like, did we have sex as werewolf and bat? I mean, maybe.
Yes.
But
it's really funny, her transformation, because like she basically takes off her shirt and is a full werewolf, but like she has like a bra on. Like her makeout with Nandor bra on, but not just like so many nipples.
I know. It's really hilarious.
That transformation was pretty rad.
It was.
And there the couple of times that, well, Nandor and Laszlo both turned into a bat this episode.
Yeah.
They're shocking and wow. Amazes me every time. Wow, I said.
It's pretty. And of course, Laszlo always has to say bat before he does it, of course. But Nandor just does it. Most people just do it, but he has to say it first, which is classic. But anyway, speaking of Laszlo, let's get on to, it's sort of the B storyline, but to me it's the funniest. It's the funnier storyline.
It's pitch perfect.
Yeah. So Laszlo and Colin Robinson, who have not had a lot of, they even kind of acknowledge, like, they don't really talk much, because I find, like, Laszlo doesn't really like him, and he finds, like, I don't think Colin Robinson likes Laszlo either.
Yeah, well, Colin is like still an energy vampire to those guys, like,
right?
Because now he's always like, "Are you trying to bore us, Colin Robinson?" Like always.
Yeah. But they actually talk about, like, I kind of feel bad. They both say the same thing. They both say, well, I kind of feel bad for, like, Nadia's doing her
kind of lonely.
Yeah, like doing her vampiric council duties. I feel kind of bad for him. And then he's like, I feel this bad for this guy. Like, nobody talks to him. So they're in the thing. Colin Robinson's still trying to figure out, like, how he turned and what his parents were like and his mom and whatever. There's some weird jokes in there about his mom. Like, I don't remember them, but they were kind of funny. But anyway, Laszlo.
Well, it was funny because he was like, I was trying to think if my parents are energy vampires. My dad was like, definitely not. Like, he was very outgoing, like a RuPaul,
right?
Kind of, but in the 20s. And then he's like, well, what about your mother? And he's like, oh, she was just really boring. She still is.
That's pretty. I know that's what he's. I forgot about the RuPaul joke.
Like a RuPaul, but in the 20s. Yeah. It's like, what?
Wow.
Really outgoing.
Yeah. So the funny thing, so Laszlo sees, like, this porn book. I forget. Let me get the exact name of the book. It's Cornelius Dong's Adventures in the Boner Brigade. He knows that never came out in hardback, and because he sees the book on the shelf. Must be a fake, and he pulls it. Yeah, and it's like the Bat Cave or something. This whole thing opens, and his old car is there.
Yeah, it's like not even a Model T. It's like a Model A or something.
Yeah, it's actually called what is it called? A Stutz Laszlo, and it has, like, this weird history where, like, it belonged to Henry Ford, and he was going to give it to his friend Mussolini. He says, so weird.
And and there was a great joke in here that I caught only the second time I watched it, where he says, like, why did they take your car away from you? And he says, the Vampire Council was upset that I took miners, and it was like coal miners. They showed a picture of coal miners. It's like coal all over their face, transporting miners across state lines, and I was like,
Right.
"Oh, you clever bastards! You did it again."
Yeah, not even miners like miners, but yeah, like miners,
so
coal
funny.
miners.
I died laughing.
It's really, yeah, that is a subtle. You might not catch that. I'm just watching it once, but so yeah, but like he only had the car for 10 minutes. They said, like, how long did you have before they took it away? Like 10 minutes. Like,
and this is when I think that's when Colin and Laszlo were like fixing the car underneath it, and then, and then Colin Robinson's like, "Are you masturbating?" And then they kind of like pan away from Laszlo.
Yeah, because like that's all he talks about, right? He's talking about whack on, but yeah, like he is kind of boring it. So they decide, because he doesn't know how to, like they want to get it out of this room, and I think they built the room around the car. So they decide to take the car apart and carry it out piece by piece, and then put it back together outside.
But that wasn't until
Right.
until after they had some great like Benny Hill kind of action moments where Laszlo runs over him twice.
I know, it is funny because you can't hear, and they keep honking the horn, which I thought was hilarious. Like, whoa! It's one of those old school, like, whoa!
He's like, go in reverse, go in reverse. I don't think it can do that.
Right.
He's like, I have no reflection in the rear view. He's like, but I reflect.
Right.
I reflect. But it didn't hurt him at all.
No.
Colin Robinson is like practically indestructible. I mean, we know he's strong, like when he crushes the trash can in the bathroom and everything, but like, yeah, he gets run over twice.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because he thinks he's telling him to, like, he tells him to back up, but he actually goes forward or whatever, like, and he smashes, and he's like, back up, and he's like, yeah, like he said, yeah, he's like, I don't think he can do that.
That
he's
was like
smushed against the wall.
British humor sitcom shit there.
Yeah, no, it's classic. It's classic. But yeah, they do. As they're taking it apart and carrying it out, they're smashing things in the library, in like the or whatever that, I guess it's like a library. Yeah. Where they got the cloak of duplication and all that stuff from last week.
Yeah,
they're smashing all this stuff.
I was trying to think of what kind of comedy it reminded me of. It's not Chevy Chase, although he did a bunch of pratfalls, but it's just like, yeah, they're just like swinging coat racks around and knocking, precious vases off the things. Like, right. I guess almost like the Marx Brothers or something.
Yeah, like they have like the bumper to the car and they're smashing, and then Kristen Shaw shows up again, and she's yelling at them for smashing and breaking things, and she shows them that there was just a door, like you just press the red button. And he's like, whoa, how could we have seen the red button? We were inside. And she's like, there's the exact same red button inside, and whatever. It's just,
and once again, she's bogged down, but she's like, now I have to call the insurance company. They're gonna tear me apart. And then she like goes away.
I know, that's like her big thing, like, dealing with the
administrator.
Yeah. So, but it is classic. But then, yeah, I love it. But I like the part where he's like, where do you want to go? Like, we can go anywhere, old chap. He's like, Buffalo? Like, all right. And they're going to drive to Buffalo. Like, and then there's another reference to Buffalo when Gail says she wants to go back. She's got to go back to Buffalo. I was like,
to talk to her daughter.
Her daughter.
Her oldest daughter, who's in marketing. So talented.
There's weird two Buffalo references. I don't even know. There must have been something to that. Like, it's not just coincidence, but I didn't quite catch.
Well, it's not that far away. But I guess
no, that's true. They're in Staten Island, right?
Yeah.
Would
you fly? You would fly there, though. I guess you.
I mean, I think it's pretty far up. I don't know. I think it's almost Canada, right? Like Buffalo. It's pretty close to Toronto.
Buffalo Bill, what did you kill?
Anyways, yeah. On the Nandor Gail front, when he does find out that there's this other man and he's a werewolf, and they all go They all go and they have this confrontation with the werewolves, and they do treat the werewolves kind of like really like they chase cars and whatever. Like they're
Yeah, it's more. It's like movie werewolves.
yeah,
It's like don't go near them while they're eating.
right. That was the other, yeah. Don't approach because they when you walk to them they go like "Argh," like they're basically dogs. But and
And then when
Guillermo,
Guillermo says that he was guarding Nandor's heart.
right? And they said, "Oh, don't forget to take your heart guard." Oh. But this is really bizarre to me. They instead like sort of like for Gail's heart or whatever, they have like a kickball game. It's really bizarre. It's totally random. Like it's the
Well, it's like it's like Twilight.
Is that? I mean, I never saw Twilight. I guess.
Oh, well, then yeah, that's it's the vampires and the werewolves playing baseball in
Oh,
the
is that
second
what it is?
Twilight movie. That was the whole thing.
There's a couple of Twilight references.
Yeah, because he's like, we're watching Twilight. They're like,
Guillermo was with the dead body. He's got like a dead body like next to him. It's very weird. He's got like a weird, I don't know what that's about, but it's like him and a dead body. Like, oh, we're watching Twilight. Look, see. But yeah, so I never saw it, so I don't know. I didn't get the reference.
That's what the reference was.
All right,
went over your head.
It did went right over my head. But now that I know, that's very funny.
That's Batman.
But yeah, in Laszlo, it is a great like he kicks the ball and then so they can't like tag him out. He turns into a bat and flies around the bases.
Yeah, that was great.
Bat. And yeah, it's
and then one of the werewolves like buries the ball.
Right.
In the snow.
So it's
but they can jump high and like for the. It reminded me actually of you know how I always say that I was never a sports guy, and there was that one time I got hit by the baseball. Anyways, I have a kickball story.
Oh,
that's like almost as good, except for that it turns out a little bit better for me in the end. So I'm always like picked last, like all the sports and recess or whatever. Big kickball game, 3rd grade. North School. You know what I'm talking about, dude?
Oh, I remember, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. This is a big game.
Those are the days.
And then they were like, pick me last. And then I was like in the outfield. And then one of the jock kids gets up. You know, they pitch to him. And he kicks it. And they were like, you'll never catch anything. You're like such a loser. You never catch anything. It was like what they were telling why I wasn't on the team. And then like I had a perfect like, you know how like pop up fly, you know, like people are like, I got it.
Yeah.
You know, and then
oh my God.
they just catch it perfectly. The one time that I caught a ball was that day.
Oh,
and people were like, yeah, it came and it was like a good kick too. And I like just grabbed it, put my hands around it, and I was like, yeah, you're out. And everybody was like, yeah. So like for that recess, I was cool. But then I went back to not being cool like the next day.
I understand. I remember a similar. It's not the same. It's similar. So like I think I don't know what grade this was, 3rd, 4th grade, whatever it was. But one kid would be in charge of the kickball that day. Like it was like a rotation.
Yeah.
And I was in charge of the kickball this day. And they were like, come on, Matt, we want to, like all the jock kids like suddenly wanted to, because they were just begging, like, because you could do whatever you wanted with it. You could just, sometimes girls would just sit there with it, but like, or whatever, or anybody would. Not singling out the girls. But anyway, the jock kids were all like, oh, come on, man, let's just play kickball. Just play kickball. And I was kind of debating, because I'm like, you guys never asked me to play kickball when I'm not the kid with the ball. You know what I mean? When I'm not in charge of the ball. I'm like, no, we'll ask you. But I was like, okay, let's. And I wanted to be cool that day. I was like, yeah, let's play.
So like you picked them? Is that what you mean? Like you
picked no, I mean like I decided what to do with the kickball that day, like because I was in charge of the kickball that day, and they actually let me play with them, and I wasn't like it was just recess, so like recess you do whatever you want, you know what I mean, pretty much.
Yeah,
but like,
yeah.
that day I got to play with the cool kids, and I don't remember anything really about it. I don't remember like what if I did good. I don't remember like whatever, but recess was like 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like or 20 minutes. It was
I know, but that seemed like it was maybe like the long recess. It was like a half hour, 45 minutes or something.
I remember that long recess and short.
Yeah. So like we had a good game going, and mine was like I guess it was like a pop-up line drive down the first baseline, you know, like, and I just caught it so perfectly. And then any other time I did any sports after that, besides running cross country, I was very bad at them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was pretty bad at sports as well. But did you play at that little field down at the end or on like the cement? Do you remember?
On the
cement
that little... up by the seesaws.
Right.
Going into the parking lot, like going into, you know, like a super home run would be hit the basketball courts.
Yeah, that would be a super home run. All right, I couldn't kick it that far.
But I could have been just I would have jumped up like these werewolves did to get back to the show and grabbed it in midair. That's how good I was that day.
They were. That was the funny thing. They were like jumping and catching it. So okay, yeah, back to the show. So Nandor comes up and he's like, "I'm going to do this for Gail," and she's on the sidelines watching, and he kicks the ball and bonks her on the head, like knocks her out. And they're like, "Oh my God, she's dead!" Like,
no, it was
Oh, it was. You're right. It was Nadia.
It was Nadia because they had this like running joke about because they're like women, they're competitive, even though she never said a bad word about it. She's like, all the guys are like, "We know you hate her because she's a girl."
Right. And she's always like, "No, I like Gail. I have nothing against
Gail." She's like, "I have nothing against Gail," when she gets pitched the thing, and then I should have been there to save Gail. And
yeah, you could have saved Gail. Yeah,
but it hit her right in the head.
Yeah, you're right. I completely forgot about that. I feel like it's such a dope.
Well, Nandor has a turn at bat too.
Right. Yeah. Bat.
He doesn't turn into
literally. He has a turn at bat.
Bat.
But anyway, yeah, no, it's Nadia who kicks the ball that knocks Gail out. But Nandor goes to her, like runs over there, and he's like, "Oh, I know," because he's been trying to turn into a vampire forever. And they're, you know, like she doesn't want it, and they don't really want her to be a vampire either. So now he's
Guillermo like keeps going, "What the fuck?" Like,
I know he's wanted to be a vampire forever. So yeah, like he you know does that. He bites her, then bites his wrist, and he goes, "Ow." It's really funny.
Yeah, that's totally like the Anne Rice style too. Like, I'll bite my, and then, yeah.
But I love it. Yeah, when he bites his own, he's like, "Ow!" But then she comes back to life, and he thinks like, "Okay, now we can spend eternity together." And she's like, "Well, let's, maybe in 30, 40 years, like she's just." Because then she's got to go see her daughter, and she's like, "Yeah, I gotta go."
She's like, "Nandor, I was married once. It's just not my thing."
Right. Oh yeah, because he is have an engagement ring that he wants to give her. He actually does get down on one knee.
I want you to be my vampire bride.
Yeah, he's like, "Gail Marie, you never told me your last name. Please, will you be my bride?" They've been like on and off dating for decades, and he never knew her last name.
Yeah,
hilarious. But yeah, she's like, "Yeah, I've been married before. It's not really for me. Maybe in like 30 or 40 years."
But Nadia called it. She said that she knew that Gail would do that to him.
Yeah. And that's why she was trying to avoid the heartache. She was trying to, so Nandor wouldn't feel the heartache, And so that's Gail's thing. But then they're like, "Oh, we'll take you on a little drive in Laszlo's car." And
so now they have basically a Munsters mobile.
I know, because they put it together wrong.
Awesome. Because because Colin and Laszlo had their little adventure, the B story, like you said, and at one point even Colin accidentally sets himself on fire, and we find out that he can survive that too.
Yeah, he goes under the whatever, like, yeah, right, because he's like, oh, gas it up. Oh, because one thing we missed earlier, I love. He says, "What does it run on?" He says, "Oh, petrol and coal." So he's like, "Oh, it's a hybrid."
In a way, yes.
So yeah, he just pours gas on the engine. They're so stupid. They don't know how anything works.
Yeah, they put the thing back together somehow, but like literally with like they had like bungee cords or like something on the front, like
Yeah, and like he gets totally lit on fire when they start the car, and it's funny because he goes like ah, and then he goes just kidding, I'm fine, and he's like burning. It's pretty.
Yeah, he just like walks over to the car, like probably just goes sits down like on fire.
He's like fine. And meanwhile, they're playing Bob Seger's Night Moves, and as their
I remember
Night Moves. Oh, yeah, this is really a great moment. I kind of like that song's kind of a guilty pleasure, I'll say.
Yeah, why not? Who doesn't enjoy a little Bob Seger or whatever, or Steve Miller even? You just gotta fucking jam out to that shit when it's on. Why not?
Yeah.
Remind us of a simpler time, Simpler time.
Yeah, simpler time, indeed.
Wrapped up like a douche, another night.
The only #1 song that Bruce Springsteen ever had, he didn't even do that version. It was Manfred Mann. But he wrote it. Blinded by the light. Wrapped up like a douche.
Oh, I was trying to think of Steve Miller. I guess he's more like I'm the Joker, as you love that right. Joker.
Some people call me the space cowboy. He might fly like an eagle. Joker. Oh, that was the album. Let's take the money and run. That was a little Steve Miller.
Yeah, Fly Like the Eagles is also a song.
Oh, okay. I don't know a lot about Steve Miller. I don't know a lot about Bob Seger either. I just remember Night Moves. I think my brother had the 45.
I think I had some 8-tracks of both of these bands, actually.
That's awesome.
Not to date myself, which I am, and we frequently do. That's basically all we do.
Yeah,
we date ourselves.
What are we supposed to do? Pretend we're not old? I mean, that would be weird, wouldn't it? If we just like suddenly we're like, oh,
38.
When you were kids in the early 2000s. I don't know, but this is another fun episode. Like this season, it seems more just like we're just going all out goofy.
Yeah,
like there's no real like.
Maybe you're right about having like a Nandor love story like every episode or something. Maybe you're right.
I don't know. We'll see, but this is definitely one of those. I don't know what else. Like, well, I mean, what is it? 6, 7? It's probably like 8 episodes, maybe. I don't know. So they could maybe keep going with this. Plus the Colin Robinson, like finding out how he became an energy vampire.
Yeah, and the sire. Can't forget about the sire.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We didn't see anything with that, but they were laying the seeds down.
Sowing the seeds.
Yeah. So and there's always fun to be had with Laszlo. So
he was like, I think that Nandor is going down to the penny pornos.
Right. You put a penny in there and you whack up. He's like, I don't know why you wouldn't tell anyone. I would just tell everyone that's what I was doing. Like, and
then he goes, in fact, I just came from there.
This what he's like. The way he just says, "Whack off!" Like it's.
That's his thing this season.
I guess so. Yeah, just whack off.
Because Colin Robinson was like, "Yeah, Nadia's always busy with her vampire council duties, so I kind of feel bad for her."
Feel bad for her. It's really funny. They both kind of feel bad for each other for ridiculous, like, pointless.
Well, Colin Robinson like goes to work and stuff. You know what I mean? Like
It's true.
does other things besides.
Yeah.
But he is 100 years old, we know.
Yeah. He's turning 100. So
and his dad was like RuPaul.
Yeah.
Outgoing.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, this season so far, is turning kind of. They're just like balls to the wall. It seems like we don't. Everything, anything goes. It seems like, I guess. Let's say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. What else? You got anything else, Clay, that you want to share? We have obviously episodes up on the feed. A lot of league verses and last week's, if you want to hear what we did from Fan Expo Boston. We recorded that episode last week. So check that out. Episodes 1 and 2, what we do in the shadows. We got all last season, obviously. So yeah.
There we go. Hitchhiker's Guide. Wait, did you put everything up? You don't have any in the can? You're just like, put everything up.
I have one in the can. I haven't done the surprise. We recorded an episode on Casino Royale last week, and I have not. That has not been posted yet, but it will be because we're going to.
But you put the other one up.
I put up Hitchhiker's Guide. Yes.
Oh, but did you put up the Fan Expo one?
Yeah, I put up the last week's. Yeah. So the first Vampire Council of this season is up. And so, yeah, so.
Check that from the Vampire Council. Gotcha. I thought you were talking about the super secret extra bonus episode only for Patreon subscribers of our dumb panel.
No, I didn't get any audio from that yet. Did I? Did you send those?
Maybe not.
Okay. Well, no,
but
no rush on that.
The Patreon people will hear about it first.
Oh, okay.
Before you.
Spoiler warning to anyone listening: we don't have a Patreon, but
that's true. This is all a big ruse.
It's all a ruse, but we'll put that up soon. And
people can still buy Fang masks. And you get the people will need to wear masks still.
It's
go
true.
to podcast.com/fangs. Get what you do in the shadows Fang mask.
Yeah, masks are back. I mean,
they're back, baby. Hey, it's like they never went anywhere for me.
Oh, that's true. A lot of people they didn't, but so yeah, they're at least around here. You are now required to wear them unless you're like actively eating. We went to the movies last week and we had to show proof of vaccination.
Oh, at the Majestic over here?
No, at the Coolidge. Yeah, I did.
So. Oh, you went to see the Jaws movie?
Yeah, we went to see our yearly Jaws. Oh, it's great. I love it. It's always fun. So, yeah. Jaws.
Here's to flying with bow-legged women.
All right. On that note, I guess, right, we can wrap.
Let's wrap it up.
Everybody, check us out, leaguepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And, yeah. Back.
one of the hardest guitar pieces in the world to